into it. What's the first step? See, what's the first step? All right, what's the first step? And while that's interesting, it's not quite as interesting as this. How do we come out of it? I mean, if it's absorbed us. Now you could say, well, we hear something from the external world that wakes us up. No, no, no. There were sounds in the external world before this that didn't wake you up. Must have occurred at a certain point. Try better. What if you were to set up the circumstances so that you will eliminate or reduce the possibility of such interruptions? Then what wakes you up? Ah, there's something missing. You see, there's still something missing. We don't have it yet. There must be another thing in here, or it won't work. Somewhere in this, there has to be an image of you. There has to be either in the drama itself, or there has to be an awareness of watching the drama and enjoying it, but still, that awareness will still have a certain attitude and style. Now we have a little bit more. There you are. You're sitting, doing nothing. Therefore, you have an opportunity to just watch what comes up. And we're asking the following things. Is it likely that sooner or later, something is going to trigger this whole sequence? Seed-like. At first, that might be difficult to determine, but little practice you can get it. Then you'll see that a thought emerges. It takes on a certain form. It can continue. It can propel itself. It has a kind of an autonomous existence. It can be directed to some extent, but then it takes on a life of its own. And you either become involved in it as a player, or you are that which watches it and enjoys it or suffers through it, which has its own attitude, style, and manner. Well, look here. This is the life of man. Then what is the response? Why do we ever come out of it? Why do we ever come out of it? Now, to play this, you really need to simply do nothing other than what you always do, not asking you to do anything else. This is going to take place, isn't it? Just direct your understanding to what is going on. That's all. No yoga, no fancy breathing, no mantras, tantras, nothing. What are you going to do? Just going to take a look at yourself. And you discover something quite interesting. This is the moment, invariably, you realize that image of yourself in this drama, or your role watching it with all of those qualities, is not you. Wake up. That is to say, that's the moment when you recognize you were fooled. You were fooled. You were conned. You were fooled. And here is a moment of waking up, isn't it? That's waking up. You wake up to the fact that that isn't you. That's not what you want to be and what you are. But that only occurs for the briefest of moments. That occurs in the most briefest of moments. Bang! And what happens? Another one may then take off. Or, what often happens is you may then call yourself all kinds of names for indulging in this curious activity. Right? That is to say, you'll judge yourself for having done that and allowed yourself to do it, wasting time and all of those things. Or you might judge the morality of the story. You were doing what? You were thinking what? Oh, you allowed this and that? Why? So it turns against you, or a new one starts. It doesn't make any difference, still a new drama. It takes on the same form. But for a moment, you woke up. For a moment, you woke up. I woke up. You can wake up. That's a direct understanding that you aren't this image. In that briefest of moments, that's no thought. In that briefest of moments, that's no thought. That's enlightenment. That's Buddhahood. But it's so fast, twinkling of an eye. But it isn't any different than this pursuit on the highest level. Now look here, let's go back and see whether we can go back and ask our question again. What is it about these two states, the presence, the absence of a thought? It's not just the absence of a thought. If thought involves all of this, when you have an absence of a thought, that means, you see, anything that would even begin to emerge, see, that entree is this. The more you can become familiar with this little seed-like precursor to a thought and can grasp it, then it doesn't play itself out. Let's go further. For as long as this state, no matter how brief it is, what that means is that you are not seizing it, right? You're not seizing it. You're not, that's it, you see. We're seizing on an image of the self. You can't have the fantasy, the thought, the daydream, unless you're willing to say that that tonality and that attitude and the style that you have is you. To the degree that you remove yourself from that, to that very degree,